about KD.
Skip, both guys are telling the truth. And remember, I used to always say, Skip, two things can be true. But it's not Kevin Durant's fault that his team hasn't asked him to do what LeBron was asked to do. Kevin Durant is a scorer. And for the better part of his career, Skip, that's all they've asked of him. And I can empathize on KD's part, because let me tell you why, Skip. For the longest time, when they used to talk about tight ends, they would always say this guy could do this better than I could do that. Well, they never asked me to do that. They didn't ask me to be Bart Bavaro. They didn't ask me to be Gronk. They didn't ask me to be George Kittle. They asked me to go catch the football at an elite clip. That's what they asked me to do. But when they asked me and needed me to block, Skip, I could block. But I started realizing, well, hold on. Why y'all upset at me? Because they asked them guys to do more. They asked me to do this, and I do my job at a high level. Katie, don't get upset. They are totally different people. LeBron James has been asked to play make, has been asked to rebound for the better part of his entire career. KD was asked to do that when James Harden went down, when Kyrie went down, and they really didn't have a true big, so he was asked to do all those things. And he did the best job. The first game, Skip, was a historic game, 49, 17, and 10. But you're asking a guy to do that, to do something in year 14 that he's really never been asked to do. So I don't fault KD for that. KD is, as I feel comfortable saying, you're probably not going to ever see another KD. A guy that's 6'11", maybe 7 foot tall, Skip, can handle the ball like a point, can shoot it like a 2 from 3 mid-range, get to the basket, play with his back to the basket. Foul him, he make 90%. So the likelihood of you seeing another one of those guys is not very good. But he's been not asked to do that. But KD, just because Pip did, he did. Phil Jackson drew up a play for someone else to take the final shot. I get Scottie's point of view, like, oh, that should have been my team. That should have been my shot. I was there through the lean years. I was there when we won the championship. So now if you're going to draw up a play, shouldn't you sink or swim with me? But no, and he's never going to be able to live that down, Skip. He won 6 championships. And even Michael put that in his documentary, even though Michael wasn't there when it happened. Just goes to show you the magnitude of that moment. And maybe had there ever been someone else that, maybe they have, Skip, but it was never documented. There's something about documentation that makes it stand the test of time. And even now, when you look at it, you play sport. Kevin Durant, how old was Kevin Durant when that actually happened? Maybe 10? 19? That was 1994. So, so that's 17 years ago? 27 years ago. 27 years ago. So Kevin Durant's what, 32? So he was 5. He probably doesn't even remember that. But it's there. But I think, Skip, sometimes when you offer a critique of a player, sometimes it comes out, and you're not trying to criticize him, you're offering a critique or analysis of two different players. And sometimes it comes out as you hating or you don't know what you're talking about. But I think what Scottie Pippen is trying to say, and I think, and Scottie can speak for himself, is that they are two different players. LeBron James has been asked to do a lot more than what Kevin has been asked to score, and he's done that at an elite level. But I don't think Kevin Durant abandoned his teammates. Joe Harris couldn't make a shot. Hell, I ain't been to keep passing you the ball and you go 3 for 10 every game.
Thank you.
I'm done with you.
Thank you.
Skip, that game that they won, KD had the historic. He was passing to Jeff Green. He was passing to Blake. But then the last game, couldn't nobody hit a shot but him. So I just think, me personally, and we know Kevin Durant was going to respond, because if he feels like you're taking a swipe at him, he's going to take one at you. Skip, they're just two different players. It's like this. It's like Magic and Bird. Skip, you can like who you like, but they were different players asked to do different things. And I think that's the same with KD and LeBron. They're different players asked to do different things, but they're still great in their own right.
Okay. Before I get to what Scottie Pippen said about Kevin Durant, I need to say something about Scottie Pippen. I covered that team in 1998, the Last Dance season in Chicago when I worked for the Chicago Tribune. And I am not a big fan of Scottie Pippen. He knows that. I'm not backing off it. I don't have anything personal against him. He was just Robin to Batman.
Right.
And it was as simple as that. And he was a very good Robin, but he wasn't even close to Batman. I mean, I don't even need to say this. It's the biggest duh in the history of sports.
But if Batman go on vacation, shouldn't Robin be the first? Shouldn't Robin be?
Yeah.
Okay.
He should try to be Batman, and he couldn't even try. And yet, everybody knew on that team who the man was, who the leader was, and who the last shot taker was, and who everything revolved around that man. Greatest player in the history of sports. And yet Scottie, I feel for him because Michael was hard on him in The Last Dance. Michael exposed him. It was painful truth, but it was truth.
See, if I'm your boy,
yeah,
you don't put that in Skip, why would I put something negative about you in my documentary?
Yeah, Michael just never had a lot of respect for Scottie. And Michael took it personally that Scottie kept trying to be the co-star, and he kept trying to tell the media, you're underestimating how great I am. I do this and I do that.
But Jordan said that they wouldn't have been no championship without Scottie. Yeah. Was he just blowing smoke?
In the end, he believes he could have found him another Scottie over here or another Scottie over there, that he could have mixed and matched Scotties. And for the record, I dare anybody to go look at what happened to Scottie Pippen when he left Michael and went to Houston for that year, and then he went to Portland for several more. Just look at what happened to Scottie. He got exposed as just a good player. He was a good player.
Right.
Not a great player, but a good one.
Right.
And he became top 50 all time because he played or had just the blessing of playing with Michael Jeffrey Jordan in Chicago. So the point is, Scottie got burned by the Last Dance documentary, and now he's trying to lash back, and the only way he knows to do it is, I'll write a book.
Yeah.
And I'll call it Unguarded, and I'm going to spew hot takes all over the countryside to get people to read my book so that I can get even with Michael for just leveling me in The Last Dance. And I loved what Kevin did because, as you said, Kevin's just going to respond no matter what. But Kevin got him, even called him Scott, which I loved. S-C-O-T-T, Scott. And all but dunked on Scottie Pippen in his retorts. So way to go, Kevin. That for once, I usually say Kevin's too thin-skinned, but that deserved a response, and he got one right between the eyes. So now let's talk about what you just talked about. His whole premise that Kevin's not LeBron because he doesn't know how to get his teammates involved. Well, he did have 10 assists in that virtuoso game. Right. Because guys were starting to make shots. Jeff Green actually made some shots, and Landry Shamet actually made a couple shots, and so his assists rose up to 10. But if we look over the final 3 games of that 7-game series, if we look what happened to James Harden, who you want to talk about a shell of himself? Right. It was like a little seashell, like a little tiny, one of those tiny ones that you find on the beach. Final 3 games, James Harden, from the floor was 11 of 36. That's 31%. It's just, you can't win that way. From 3 over the last 3 games, James Harden shot 5 of 26. That's 19%. You can't win that way. No. So you're reaching for help. You're asking for help. Right. You're trying to distribute the ball for help, and they can't help you because they can't cash any of these opportunities. And by the way, real quick on Joe Harris, over the last 3 games, he shot 30% from the floor and 25% from 3. No help. You try, but you can't. And you're running out of gas. And yet, Scottie had the audacity to say he could have easily made that 3 and killed them in regulation. Well, he did make the 2, and if his toe hadn't been like a half inch on the line, we wouldn't even be having this conversation right now.
What you would have done had that been LeBron, you'd have said Michael Jordan would have known that he needed to take another step back. See, Scottie is doing what y'all do to LeBron. See, y'all wouldn't have given LeBron that. LeBron hits that shot. You say, LeBron, why didn't you take a step back and make it a 3 and end the ball game? See, that's what you would have did. And see, that's also an underlying theme is that Scottie saying y'all judge LeBron at a totally different level that y'all judge this other great player, but you said something. So if I'm listening to you correctly, you're saying Scottie Pippen was a good player on a great team, but he couldn't be a great player on a good team.
Yeah, I think Houston, because Barkley was there and Olajuwon was, I know they're at the end of the line, but that was supposed to be a super team when he went there, right? And it just flamed out.
He and Barkley butted heads. Remember him and Barkley got into it, and it's like, I'm going to Portland.
Okay, so he goes to Portland, and they had a few moments, but they couldn't get over the hump.
They had Lakers on